So it looks like what we already had feared may be very well true, and belly fat may be worse for us than we even thought. So came across this article, belly fat linked to higher risk of early death. Fantastic, right? So the dreaded belly fat. Apparently it doesn't just not look great, it also may be cause for us to die earlier than we should. I want to note that this is talking specifically about belly fat. Okay, this is not overall fat or bad body mass index. This is specifically talking about belly fat, the fat that lines around our waist area. So to start, let's be honest. We all kind of knew this already. We may not have liked it. I know I don't like that idea because I can sure use to lose a few pounds myself. But I think we all kind of knew this, that being overweight, having that extra weight on our body isn't healthy for us. This is just more research that's been done that shows specifically that belly fat, the fat that most of us don't like the most, is what's really dangerous over the long term of our life. None of these things, when we're talking about body fat percentages, none of it is about short-term problems. It's always about long-term problems. I and you should want to live the longest life possible, and in that time, the best life possible. So I don't want to do anything that's going to make my life any shorter than it needs to be. And we also shouldn't want the quality of that time we have to be less than it should be. So this is a study that's interesting. It was done over a long period of time with a lot of people. And there is something we can do about it. Sometimes there are things that are out there that we can't do anything about it. Here's something that's specific that we can do something to control. So in this article, they talk about how belly fat specifically is a better indicator than overall body fat or body mass index. There are a couple different ways of measuring body fat. It's a better indicator than those for any cause mortality over someone's lifespan. So it goes on to say that every 4 inches gained in your waist circumference increases all-cause mortality by 11%. Now, 11% is a significant amount. 4 inches is not a little bit. That's like going from a 34-inch waist to a 38-inch waist. That doesn't happen in a day or a week or a month. That happens over a long period of time. And it also can be shrunk over a long period of time. We'll get into that later. But regardless, the waist size just above the hips is every 4 inches is 11% increase in all-cause mortality. So the study that they did, they actually reviewed 72 other studies that were done that consisted of 2.5 million people. And it was done over 15, 20 years, maybe longer in some of those studies. So it really, it's called a meta-analysis because it looks at other analyses that are done and it composes data based on that other research that was done. So it was 72 different studies, over 2.5 million people, long-term, lots of people, lots of different studies. So what's the problem here? It says that the belly fat specifically interferes with our internal organs and how well those internal organs work. Because if we have belly fat, we probably have what's called visceral fat, which is fat that's on the inside of the body, inside, in between the organs. And that interferes with how well our internal organs function. So what do we do about this, right? Other than the obvious things of eat less. First of all, within the study, it also showed that strong hips and bigger legs actually lowered the risk for all-cause mortality. So what that tells me specifically is that weight training, not just necessarily cardiovascular training like running, jogging, biking, swimming, those kind of things, but actually strength training, weight training, those activities actually are very healthy in creating a longer, more healthy life. So I mentioned that obviously you would want to eat less calories because the fewer calories we eat, the less body fat that we'll have in the long run. So it's a very simple thing, but it's not necessarily easy. So here's one thing you can do. Whatever time you eat dinner, whether it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whenever that may be, let that be the last thing you eat for the day. You can have water after that, but let's keep it just to whenever we eat dinner, nothing after that until breakfast. And if we can do that, we might be able to save anywhere from 150 to 400 calories a day. And if you're closer to 300 or 400 a day that you're saving by not eating after dinner, you're looking by the end of the week, it would be as if you didn't eat for one whole day. You'd be around 2,000 calories, a little less than that, a little more than that. And that's almost like skipping an entire day of eating. You can see that's a significant amount of calories. So if you wanted to lower your waist circumference, the amount of belly fat that's around your waist, one of the simplest ways, it's not necessarily easy, but one of the simplest ways to do that is to let dinner be the last thing you eat that day all the way until breakfast the next morning. So there it is. Unfortunately, I think we knew this already. It's not what we wanted to hear, but belly fat leads to an increase in all-cause mortality as we get older. You're more likely to die young. You're more likely to die from a variety of reasons younger than you would if your waist was a little smaller. So let's maybe eat a couple less calories, do some weight training. It's really great for you, better than we ever thought, even for your heart. It's great for your back. Overall strength, there's no reason men and women can't be strong. Nothing says either of us has to be weak. So there are some things, this is the good news, there are some things we can do to control that belly fat so that we can live a longer, better life.